Hey all, it's me, Super Booper. Has been a while, I'm aware. And today we're going to be doing the Stasis Slider build from all my Titans who missed the days when Stasis ran supreme. Now, for this build, we're going to be working with our key exotic of Armamentarium. Now, for those who don't know, Armamentarium lets you get an additional grenade charge, and this is going to coincide well with our Behemoth Titan. We're running Glacial Grenade because that works best with our two aspects of Cytoclasm, which means when you slide into your stasis crystals, they're just going to go boom, freezing enemies around them and damaging them. And Tectonic Harvest, which means when we break a stasis crystal, we're producing stasis shards, which do a couple of effects. The first thing is they give you melee energy back, but they also work into our mods, which we'll get into a little later. I have on Whisper of Change, which means while we're near frozen targets or friendly stasis crystals, we're going to take less damage, which is good because you're going to be spending a lot of time near or around frozen targets and stasis crystals as you keep sliding around. We have Whisper of Fissures, which increases the damage and size of the burst of stasis when you destroy a stasis crystal or defeat a frozen target, which means that our stasis kills with our crystals and frozen targets will give us more damage. We have Whisper of Conduction, which means our stasis shards are going to track onto our predisposition, making it much easier for us to collect them. And Whisper of Rhyme, which means when we collect one of those stasis shards, we're getting a small amount of overshield, which overall makes you a very tanky, unstoppable force. For our weapon, exotic-wise at least, we're using Ager's Scepter because this allows us to freeze targets. It also lets us do extreme DPS with that drain, with the accelerated mode you can get from the Catalyst. If you don't have the Catalyst, it's a Nightfall drop. So now we're going to move on to our mods. We have first, the most important mod is Elemental Shards. This makes Stasis Shards count as Stasis Elemental Wells, which means that you don't necessarily have to get a kill with our mods we're using for well productions. Those Stasis Shards will produce them. Little tidbit though, this does have a 3-second cooldown, so if you're relying on constantly refreshing your buffs, this will make it so there's a little cooldown if you're just using these Stasis Shards. The next one I'm using is Font of Wisdom, because as you know, Stasis does have slightly lower recharge rate compared to other abilities. This is just a really nice assist. Then I have Font of Might. That way, our Ager's Scepter can do extremely high DPS when we're getting those Stasis Shards. It means that for bosses, you can do a lot of DPS. It's difficult to sync up, but it's also good if just to accelerate your Ager's Scepter into something that's better. I have Elemental Armament. Well, that's actually the wrong thing. I have Well of Restoration, which means picking up that Stasis Well gives us more energy for our ability that is lowest energy. Then the other thing I have is Elemental Ordnance, because killing people with those stasis crystals does count as a grenade kill typically. So that's more stasis wells, although you could theoretically run anything else you would rather run, like a melee well maker or shield crash well maker if you were feeling that way. Now, for weapons, it doesn't really matter what you use. I personally like the BXR5 with Incandescent because burning targets and then getting them with your Stasis Melee or Ager's Scepter makes your life real easy. And then you can really use any DPS weapon you want. If you would like to continue working into that Font of Might, you can use Stasis weapons. But me personally, I'm using this 4 times the charge Vorpal Retrofit Escape I had, because it helps me break void shields. But you can also use Chain of Command or just literally any DPS weapon you want. Although I wouldn't, or you can also use, Salvation's Grip if you're feeling interesting, but I would not recommend it personally. Producing Stasis Crystals is great, but it's not worth the dry off. For our fashion today, we're running the Dawning Helmet for Titans, which is the Shimmer Helm. Cogburn of Customs, we're using the Shock Grenadier for our chest. Steeplechase Greaves and Thunderous Impact Mark, tying that all together with our shader Scarlet Semblance, which gives us an overall nice look. And now, I'll show you how we play with us gameplay-wise. Here we are in Grasp of Avarice. For those who don't know, the beginning part of this encounter is a decent mob farm if you don't feel like getting a throwaway checkpoint. And I'll be showing you those key elements to our build. So obviously you can use Ager's Scepter to freeze targets. If I can just drag. Or the Acolyte, that's going to freeze him, and then we can slide into him to get a kill if you didn't know. Yes, Cytoplasm lets you freeze him to do that. The main component is you're going to be throwing a grenade, sliding into it. You're going to get that Stasis weapon boost, Aegis Scepter, maybe a few things, slide. It's a pretty easy loop. And again, having the ability to freeze those opponents makes it so you can just slide around to get kills like that, which is why Aegis Scepter is so key. If you're feeling like you're overrun, you can always shoot your Stasis crystals if you feel like you can't get them yourself. But yeah, basically you just freeze targets, slide. If you want to have your nade back, you can freeze them and kill them again. Obviously, I got mine back because of the dungeon mechanics, but that's basically how you're going to want this to work. If there's any questions about the build, feel free to ask in the comments below. It's also important to note that I do have a few other mods that make this better, but armor mods are more to your personal preference. Some examples of those is I have 2 stacks of Harmonic Siphon, which is rapid weapon final blows that match your subclass, create orbs, which is nice, because that does give you another hit of that ability regen. And then I also have another Harmonic Siphon, because it once again gives me another nice hit of that ability regen. If you're allowing your grenades to go further, you can use things like Fastball. I personally like having Solar on my mark, so I can use Bomber, because then it's very nice. More explosive finisher. Again, it's up to personal preference, really. I have just some normal damage, and then Orbs of Restoration is also good for Stasis, which is why I like my Stasis pants so much. But other than that, that's basically the build. Here we are at the end of the video, guys. I want to thank you so much for watching and understand that my upload schedule is going to be a little hit or miss for the next couple of days, but you can expect me to be live on twitch.tv/super_booper. Just in the booper, there's zeros instead of O's. Pretty much every day except Thursday. This weekend might be a little iffy, but other than that, it should be fine. In fact, there's a high chance that when you're watching this, I'll be live on Twitch, which I'll link in the description, helping folks out with whatever they want to do, because I want the seasonal XP, and I'm always happy to help. If you've got any questions about the build, let me know. But other than that, yeah, check out my Twitch, and I'll see you all in the next one.